it's Jessii Vee and welcome back to another series of It's Near You. I feel like I should say that in like a scarier voice, like, it's near you. Ew, I hate that. So today we're going to be talking about Alaska. So it seems like I am going in alphabetical order, but I might switch that up a bit. Like one day I might just surprise you with like a state that's like not A. You know what I mean? I think there's only 4 anyways, but I don't know. I'm Canadian, I don't know my states, okay. So there are a lot of very, very haunted locations in Alaska, which obviously come with a ton of paranormal experiences and stories and urban legends and creatures. So we are gonna go over some of the top ones that I found, but I can't cover all of them. So if I missed any that you think people should know about, definitely comment it. But firstly, we're gonna start off with the Motherlode Lodge. The Motherlode Lodge in Palmer, Alaska is said to play host to a number of different spirits. It was built in 1942 and was first a roadhouse before it became a lodge in 1968. Visitors have reported seeing a misty black apparition roaming the grounds of the lodge on a number of occasions. It is also fairly common for people to be looking in mirrors around the lodge and spot a figure in vintage clothing standing behind them in the reflection. Okay, that is terrifying. I've said this before, but mirrors have always given me a very eerie feeling. Even the mirrors in my house, there's something about looking in a reflection that is just off-putting. Or maybe that's just me, I don't know. Aside from the apparitions, another strange thing that happens there is people have heard a disembodied voice of a young girl. And what's creepy is that while I was researching this, I thought that this place still existed to this day. Like the building was still there that you can go see. But then I started reading that it was actually burned down in 2015. It says that the owner of the Motherlode Lodge is heartbroken by its loss. The historic building burned to the ground on Friday evening under suspicious circumstances that is being investigated. So I'm pretty sure this is still an open case, but people are unsure why it actually burned down. A lot of people think it was like something paranormal that happened. Other people think it could have been like teenagers fooling around. Like we're not really sure why exactly it burned down. The next place we're going to talk about is something that I'm probably going to mispronounce, so I am so sorry. Let me try this. The Begich Towers? I hope I'm saying that right. Begich Towers. This is located in Whittier. Whittier in Alaska is not a very large place at all. There's about 215 residents that live there. They all reside in the Begich Towers condominium, and it was built in 1952. So it's so crazy because it's such a small community and they basically all live in one building. Imagine everybody in your town living in one place. But it's a huge place, as you can see. The 14-story tower also houses stores, churches, and public utilities. So not only is it like a huge apartment building, but it also has a ton of other stuff in there. It's like everything in just one building. The most well-known ghost that lives there likes to whistle as he strolls through the halls of the building. So he's just this man ghost that whistles in the halls. People usually hear him at night, and he usually whistles a very happy tune, which I don't know about you guys, but I find that creepier personally. Like whenever you're watching a horror movie and they play like a happy song when something scary is happening, oh, I hate that. On one occasion, the city's manager actually woke up to hear rustling noises in his kitchen, but upon exploration, there was nobody there. Locals say that Begich Towers are at their most frightening in the winter months when heavy snowfall often clogs up the roads, leaving residents unable to leave. That is so freaky. The fact that people are afraid to be in there in the winter time because sometimes they're literally snowed in and can't get away from this paranormal activity. Okay, the next place we're going to talk about is the Jessii Vee home for children, and this is located in Seward. In its time, it would have been a home to hundreds of orphans. However, the property suffered a massive amount of damage in 1964 during an earthquake, and allegedly several of the children didn't make it through. So it's extremely sad because this place used to be packed with orphans. So you can imagine earthquakes can cause a lot of damage. So with that many kids inside of a building during an earthquake, it just was very traumatic. So it is these poor children who are now said to haunt this deteriorating property. Those who come to visit old Jessii Vee home for children have reported experiencing feelings of dread and despair upon entering the building, because as you can imagine, in these children's last moments, they were terrified. So I'm sure the vibes in that building are just so dark and dreary. It is also common for visitors to hear giggling children even though none are present. The sound of jump ropes and bouncing balls can often often be heard as well. There are often small shadowy figures seen flitting past the windows as well, and those are seen by people standing outside of the building. So not only do you see stuff when you're in there, when you're out of there looking in the windows, you see stuff as well, which is terrifying. So yeah, this place is just filled with children's spirits. The next place that we're going to talk about is the Fairbanks Memorial Hospital. Fairbanks Memorial Hospital is one of the most haunted places in Alaska. It is said that whenever an infant patient is close to passing away, spirits appear in the nursery wing. Nurses from the hospital have suggested that these are angels sent to guide the children to the next life. They are generally perceived to be good spirits. Other strange phenomena include plunging temperatures and the sound of babies crying coming from empty rooms. So these spirits aren't really negative, which is nice, but apparently there are so many and they help guide children after they pass away, so they're more seen as angels, which is kind of nice. The next place I'm going to talk about is such a cool building architecturally. Like, I love it. It looks so interesting. It is called the Igloo City Hotel. The Igloo City Hotel sits abandoned on an isolated stretch of the Parks Highway in Cantwell, Alaska. It is distinctive because it's shaped just like an igloo. Igloo City is so large that airplanes at heights over 30,000 feet in the air have reported being able to see it. That is absolutely insane, because once you're way up in the sky in an airplane, everything is like a grain of sand. But the fact that you can see this building and point it out easily is crazy. It was built back in the 1970s, but the 4-story structure was never completed. It is not exactly clear why. Perhaps it failed to meet building codes, or maybe the developers simply ran out of money. Whatever the reason, it ended up being abandoned and left to weather the harsh Alaskan elements. That is so sad, because the building is so cool. Like, I feel like if it was finished, it would have a lot of attraction from other people, but they never got to finish it, which is sad. So now it just kind of sits out there by itself with no one in it. It's totally abandoned. I don't even think anybody can get inside. It is now said to be haunted because of all the stories from people driving past it at night who have reported seeing strange lights coming from inside the hotel. There are also regular reports of a woman in white looking out of one of the windows. Okay, regular reports is terrifying. Like, I get like the occasional, oh, there might be a ghost in the window, but people constantly report it. Because I think people at first think, oh my gosh, there's a lady stuck in there, but no, it's a ghost. The next place we'll talk about is the White House Bed and Breakfast. This place was built in the year 1902. Over time, it served for a lot of purposes. It was initially a hospital, but then it became a daycare center. After some time, it was turned into a hotel. In the year 1980, this place suffered some extensive damage due to a fire. It was then restored back to its glory some years later. Some of the people have claimed to see a lady who does nothing but stand in one spot and look over your shoulder. Oh, that's so terrifying, and people say that it's probably one of the daycare workers that used to be there before the fire. I hate hearing stories about ghosts that just stare at you, because I feel like it's spookier to see a figure just standing rather than see one like trying to freak you out. Like, I feel like when there's no motion, when there's silence and you see something, it's so much more impactful. The next place we're going to talk about is the Wendy Williamson Auditorium at the University of Alaska in Anchorage. I feel like most theaters and auditoriums around the world are haunted. I feel like I haven't heard of a theater in real life that just hasn't been intruded by ghosts. In fact, there's this really old opera house near my house that I really want to go investigate. That'd be such a cool ghost hunting video. So stay tuned for that, because I think Mandy and I will go in the spring at some point. The Wendy Williamson Auditorium is just over 40 years old, so it's not particularly old. However, that does not mean that it hasn't got more of its fair share of Alaskan ghosts. There is one particular spirit who is said to be a fairly angry male with a dislike for brunettes. So women who have long brown hair are often pushed by this unseen presence in the auditorium. That is so weird. Like, why would a spirit not like brunettes? I mean, I guess maybe something happened in its life. Maybe he passed away because of a brunette. Like, I don't know, but that's bizarre. There was also reports of a woman in white appearing during a performance, and at first the audience assumed that she was part of the show, but once she disappeared in front of an entire room full of audience, they were like, wait, that was probably a ghost. Imagine watching a show and you see this creepy like woman walk on stage and you're like, oh, it's probably a part of it, and then she just like drifts off into nothing. But yeah, that brunette thing is, I have never heard anything like that before. And then we have one more to talk about, and that is the Nightmute High School. Okay, so this one definitely reminds me of Moaning Myrtle from Harry Potter, and you'll see why in a second, because in this school there is a bathroom ghost, and in Harry Potter, obviously, you know there's a bathroom ghost, so that's kind of interesting. interesting. Nightmute High School in Alaska has its very own version of the famous ghost in Harry Potter. A little girl is said to haunt the school's bathrooms, and she is known to flush toilets and to flick the lights on and off. However, unlike Moaning Myrtle, she is not confined to the bathroom. She has also been heard wandering around the school humming, and she often plays with basketballs if they are left unattended in the gym. The unfortunate part is that nobody really knows who this girl ghost is, but what's even worse is that there was a grave discovered underneath the school. It was found underneath room number 106, which might explain how Nightmute High School came to be one of the most haunted places in Alaska. Imagine finding a gravestone under your school. Oh my gosh, that's horrible. So no one knows if it belongs to her or like other children ghosts in the school. No one really has any idea. But yeah, those are all the places I'm going to be mentioning in Alaska today. So stay tuned because the next place might be somewhere that you're located, because I really want all of you guys to eventually be covered. Like I want all of your areas around the world to be talked about. That is like my goal for this series. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I hope you have an awesome rest of your day, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!